All right. Shalom, shalom. I want to give all praise to, hold on, Slakia. Hold on. I want to give all praise to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakah, Kadash. Double honors, all praises. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakah, Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well in all. Salutations to the Akim out there, spreading this truth in all sincerity and in all truthfulness. And shalom to the real sisters. Shalom to the rest of the elect, which would include the man, the rest of the elect, right? The 1/3, right? This is a continuation of the last live I did that got interrupted, and because I was dealing with the afflictions. You go through various trials. You go through various trials in this thing, man. And matter of fact, let me get a scripture addressing that. But I was going into the Platte Amendment, Esau's oppression of the tribe of Manasseh that they have forgotten, and they're being reminded of now. Hold on. But let me get fiery trial scripture, man. This thing, that's too real, man. That's what I've been going through. Thinking not strange. And them trials, man, they be on another level, man. We don't know what we did in our past lives and shit to deserve it, Why, we're being put to the ringer like that. It is what it is. We gotta endure it. 1 Peter 4:12. Beloved, thinking not strange concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened unto you, man. Verse 13. But rejoice, inasmuch as ye are partakers of Hamashiach's sufferings, that which when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding joy. And also, this is something I've been dealing with for a minute now. And also, let me get this right here. What should I get? Let me get this right here. Unless I should, 2 Corinthians 2:17, this is Apostle Paul right here speaking. Unless I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure. So the Most High Yahweh, he will do that as well, man. He will bring afflictions because of that as well, man. So you don't get too puffed up, with knowledge, so puffed up with knowledge that you basically start to get lost in the sauce, man. Or you start to think of yourself as look, lo and behold, right when I was discussing that, had a pop-up. My screen went black and I got a pop-up, man. Speak of the devil, right? Spiritual demon Satan, right? Speak of the spiritual demon Satan. That messenger of Satan, man. Verse 8. For this thing I besought Yahweh thrice, that it may depart from me. Verse 9. He said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Mashiach may rest in thee. Really, because may rest upon me, because really it's like a sign, Also, like the Lord is chastening you, like he see you as his son. It's not pleasant, like you're gonna it sucks, okay? But at the same time, you have to think of it that way. Can't like let the carnal side really get to you. This sucks, man. I'm gonna quit. Nah. Like it may not be it's not gonna feel pleasant, but I mean you gotta like take it on the chin, because really it means that, and then examine yourself too, see if you're going off. Verse 10, therefore I take pleasure in infirmities and reproaches and necessities. There's a reason why he's saying that, not because, like brothers had mentioned, like the apostles, they weren't masochists, man. They didn't actually love the pain, but they knew what it meant. And reproaches and necessities, no, it was grievous, they even said. And persecutions and distresses for Mashiach's sake, for when I am weak, then I am strong, like weak in the flesh, right? Verse 11, I am become a fool in glorying. Ye have compelled me, for I ought to have been commended of you, for nothing am I behind the very chiefest apostles, though I be nothing. Okay, hold on. But basically, yeah, man, you get chastised in this thing, bro. And Wait, and all right, shalom, shalom. I'm back. All right, let me get into this back to the subject at hand. Right, had to deal with some afflictions. All right, should be good. Actually, give me. All right, all right, shalom, shalom. I'm back. All right, let me get back into what I was getting into before. All right, all right, all right, all right. Let me get into the Platt Amendment. Let me get into this shit. Matter of fact, I'll just get the article that I already had. All right. On June 12th, 1901, Cuba amended its constitution to contain, word for word, the 7 applicable demands for the Platt Amendment. On May 22nd, 1903, Cuba entered into a treaty with the U.S. to make the same required 7 pledges. Disgusting. All right, shit. All right, let me get back to it. On May, shit. On May the 22nd, 1903, Cuba entered into a treaty with the U.S. to make the same required 7 pledges. The Cuban Amendment, American Treaty of Relations, Cuban American Treaty of Relations of 1903. 2 of the 7 pledges were to allow the U.S. to intervene unilaterally in Cuban affairs, and a pledge to lease land to the United States for the naval bases on the island. The Cuban American Treaty of Relations of 1934 replaced the 1903 Treaty of Relations and dropped 3 of the 7 pledges. Okay. The 1903 Treaty of Relations was used as justification for the second occupation of Cuba from 906 to 1906 to 1909. On September 29, 1906, Secretary of War and future U.S. President William Howard Taft initiated the second occupation of Cuba. When he established the Provisional Government of Cuba under the terms of the treaty, Article 3, declaring himself Provisional Governor of Cuba. These fucking devils. So basically, like, they wasn't even free. They was forced to sign that for their own freedom, man. Basically, making them a colony of Babylon. Basically, like colony of Babylon, man. On October, like a colony of Babylon. Just gonna say it. On October 23rd, 1906, President Roosevelt issued Executive Order 518, ratifying the order. On May 29, 1934, the U.S. and Cuba signed the 1934 Treaty of Relations that, in its first article, abrogates the 1903 Treaty of Relations. You know these. Yep. During the Spanish, and this is the background. Let me get it. This is fucking Edomite. Orville H. Platt was named after him. That's what the Platt Amendment is named after him. And then you had a cartoon protesting the amendment because, like, it was basically like it was going to become a colony, like, of the U.S. now. Now he is a colony of Cuba is a colony of the U.S. That's what it shows. You know, they became a colony from Spain, then a colony of the U.S. During the Spanish-American War, the United States, so yeah, man. The United States, yeah, that's what it shows, man. The United States maintained a large military arsenal in Cuba to protect U.S. holdings and to mediate Spanish-Cuban relations, so-called. In 1899, the McKinley administration settled on occupation as its response to the appearance of a revolutionary government in Cuba following the end of Spanish control. The Platt Amendment was an addition to an earlier Taylor Amendment, which had previously limited U.S. involvement in Cuba related to its treatment after the war, particularly in preventing its annexation, which had been proposed by various expansionist political entities within the U.S. So basically, you know, these motherfucking Edomites, bro, they came in Cuba. Well, they claimed the right to intervene due to the USS Maine incident, which was a false flag, by the way. When you look into it, you know, they needed justification to go and snatch that from Spain, basically. The Spanish-speaking Edomites, you know, were running Cuba before, man. And then you had, the U.S., you know, the English-speaking Edomites running Babylon, man. They were in competition with them, and they was like expanding and shit, man. They're that little horn, you know, that was more stout than his fellows, man. So they was like, nah, we gonna take that too, man. And so they stuck their nose in there, and they presented it as, we're trying to fight for the rights of Cubans to be independent or whatever. They tried to show it as that, but then what they did was, like, basically bait and switch. Because they saw that Cuba, these Cubans think they're gonna actually be free. Nah, Because you know, hey, nah, like Esau not gonna let Jake actually be free. You know what I'm saying? The Platt Amendment was an attempt, because that was not even their intention in the first place, man. The Platt Amendment was an addition to, but Cuba trusted their enemy, man. The Platt Amendment was an addition to the earlier Taylor Amendment, which had previously limited U.S. involvement in Cuba. Shit. Relating to its treatment after the war, particularly in preventing its annexation. Okay, I read that. Senator Taylor himself had a history of opposing American imperialism, criticizing the American campaigns in Panama and the Philippines, because they seized control of that too, man. Panama and the Philippines. When you have a lot of Ishkarites that had been shipped out there, like during the Spanish colonial period. So you have a lot of Philippines is Japhet land, but you have a lot of Northern Kingdom that's scattered, specifically Ishkarites that's scattered there, man. And you have which is why Philippines is known as the Mexicans of Asia. Filipinos is known as the Mexicans of Asia for that reason, because there is a lot of so-called Mexicans that were scattered there. And also you have a lot of Judah, man. You have like the so-called modals, man. You have Judah that's scattered there too. So you have Judah, and then you have the so-called Mexicans, and then you had Chinese immigrants, so-called Chinese, mainly Moab, but Moab is covered to who? Judah. So you had Judah and even some Northern Kingdom from there, man. So you had like, I would say like more of a higher concentration than the other areas, which is why the area catch hell a lot. You have a lot of Judah, and you have a lot of Northern Kingdom, particularly Ishkar, but that's scattered there. But yeah, in 1894 going on, he had been an arch expansionist supporting potential plans to annex Cuba, and Taylor would go on to support the Platt Amendment. Oh shit, he went on to support it. So he opposed it and then supported it. Some historians have questioned Taylor's intention, claiming that the real motive behind the resolution was to protect American beet sugar growers from Cuban competition. Of course, right? On the other hand, Taylor became a leading opponent of land annexation in Cuba to go grow sugar in the early 1900s. Ah, shit, freezing up. Esau don't like me bringing it out. Okay, now it's stopped. Kala Yahba Shim Yahshai Shim Kakadash. 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 Some, 7 times, complete praises. Yeah, because Esau be fucking with my life a lot. But yeah, let me continue. On the other hand, Taylor became a leading opponent of land annexation in Cuba to grow sugar in the early 1900s, as well as President Roosevelt's plan to grant tariff preferences to Cuba in 1903. The Platt Amendment originated from American mistrust in the Cuban Constituent Assembly to formulate a new relationship between Cuba and the U.S. Senator Orville H. Platt. But them Jakes, man, we gotta, they gonna supplant us. Senator Orville H. Plant, chair of the Senate Committee on Relations on Cuba, spearheaded the bill alongside General Leonard Wood, the governor of Cuba at the time, and Secretary of War Elihu Root. Probably I would say, a 48er, wouldn't doubt it. Tasked with he has that type of name, that Yiddish type name, Yeah, it probably is. Wouldn't doubt it. But yeah, wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, tasked with balancing Cuban independence with American desires to control Cuban politicians, deemed them fit for self-governance. They established the Platt Amendment to maintain public order and turn Cuba into a self-governing colony. Contradiction, but it is what it is. The Platt Amendment was initially intended to be its own bill, but it became an amendment as the 56th Congress ended on March 4, 1901. There was no time for the proposal to be submitted as a separate bill. General Leonard Wood used the financial resources of the Cuban treasury to create sanitation systems. A handful of civil rights, including the right to vote, was extended to literate adult male Cubans with property worth, of course, $250 or more dollars or more. No shit. Largely resulting in exclusion of the so-called Afro-Cuban population. Read Judites that were in Manasseh land, as well as maybe darker skinned Manassites. Provisions of the amendment. Because he had Judah, Manasseh land as well. The Platt Amendment, as you do still today. The Platt Amendment was introduced to Congress by Senator Orville H. Platt. Hold on. Slagging. These devils, man. They did a number on Cuba, man, called the Platt Amendment. Yeah, right after they intervened in their conflict and claimed they was trying to help them gain independence, this is what they did. Why you don't trust your fucking enemy? And you so-called Cubans, tribe of Manasseh, y'all learning that again, man. Come to Babylon thinking you're Esau's, the so-called white man's favorite so-called Latino, and then look what happens, Esau is like Esau is basically like the psych you thought, like pause, like psych you thought. Basically showing you his hatred. That was hatred. That 110 sentence, that 110-year sentence, to that so-called Cuban dude that killed those accidentally crashed into those cars, killed 4 people by accident because he lost control of his truck because the brakes fucked up. So if they can throw a whole book at him and then more books from the pages that's left out. Come on, man. And then the gavel right at his head. That's what it was. While letting these Edomites off the hook. Showing you that, Esau is still considers you so-called Cubans to be a nigga. Still. And so y'all getting your nigga wake-up call, man. So-called Mexicans been getting y'all's nigga wake-up call, man. Really, I would say starting with Trump and shit, but even shit that happened before, but kind of got y'all pissed off, but it's really started with Trump, what he said. And then Judah, y'all been getting your nigga wake-up call. Or both Democratic and Republican administrations not doing shit about your oppression. And then now you see Manasseh those who have been made to forget their oppression. Y'all are getting your nigga wake up call, especially if they still end up, if they reject his appeal. Just know, I could see some shit popping off because basically, it's like when you get with a when you get with a chick that you think she's different because she spit that game to you and she put it on you real good too. Come on, let's admit it. And but you find out that she's like the same as the rest, right? Because you really caught feelings for her, so you're like, that's like that's like that's like you're taken aback because that's like kind of like you got hit with a sucker punch, and that type of broken heart, so that hey you Jakes, you're getting your heart broken again. I wouldn't be surprised if Esau is like, yeah, fuck it, we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna go easy on the Shedemite that shot that Jake down. Just get y'all tribes roused up. Because it's that time for that race war we've been noticing. They've been going easy on their own. And then you have cases where, yeah. Well, where they'll like with that case of Jussie Smollett, whose father's in 1948 or anyway, so. But they're pinning it on us because they say he's so-called black, But you could see, he's an actor anyways, man. He's an actor. They used him for a role. I wouldn't be surprised if he walked out the back door and shit. And it was just a role that he played. But that was just a role that he played, and now he's out, To get, these Edomites, particularly those of the right-wing persuasion, right? The proud Edomites, the proud so-called patriotic MAGA hat Edomites, MAGA red hat Edomites, them, Trumpers, right? Back our militia. And those Jakes, mainly speckled birds and bugged out, Northern Kingdom, many of whom are light-skinned, and, bugged out Judah that support them. Sellout Eves, that the type that's with the divester movement that support them and shit. See how it goes. Get them riled up, but it's the proud Edomite supremacist crowd, Get them riled up and then have even some of the liberal Edomites, and then get basically draw, give them an excuse to show less confidence to Jake. See, they fake hate crimes, and then this, and then now this, getting both Jacob and Esau, getting you northern tribes riled up too. Ultimately, it's that, but you northern tribes do need your nigga wake up call, and you're receiving it. And Manasseh, you don't forgot, man. So you need your nigga wake up call, and Yahweh Tazah elect get woken up from that, man. Yahweh Tazah elect get roused, get woken up from that because y'all, a tribe of Manasseh out here looking sad, supporting Esau, like supporting the right wing of Esau specifically, like even though fuck all of them, supporting. The proud Edomite supremacist crowd specifically, a Proud Boys leader was so-called Cuban, for example. Come on. He was so-called Cuban. And he was FBI. Come on, man. It's an example of that. Forgetting your oppression. So this is I mean, the elect of the tribe of Manasseh is going to be woken up too. You have some already, but just wake up more of them. And the 2/3, they have their role. They're going to, take part in it as well, man. Because you know, yeah, Judah's going to be tearing to Egypt, but Northern Kingdom 2/3, even Northern Kingdom 2/3 is going to get theirs as well, man. They're going to get they're going to get their piece of the pie. They're gonna get their slice of meat. Their chunk of meat. Out of this shit, man. Even though they're gonna take L in the end with the nukes. But yeah, hold on, I'll be back. I got some on my mouth. Same fucking places, man. I'll be back. Yeah, right, I'll be back. back to it. All right, shalom, shalom. I'm back, y'all. I'm back, y'all. uh, but I ain't black, y'all. Nobody is. Nobody is. It's a bad word. It's a joke, man, because you have that little video, that video, music video. I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black. Yeah, but he's not black. He's so-called black. He doesn't know that though. Well, people who go along with it anyways don't know that. But the celebrities know what's up. But especially nowadays. But let me get back to it. This basically, Cuba would remain a colony and shit, man. Yep. Limiting yep. And then yep. The Platt Assembly amendment was introduced to Congress by by Senator Orville H. Platt on February 25th, 1901. It passed the U.S. Senate by a vote of 43 to 20. And although it was initially rejected by the Cuban Assembly, the amendment was eventually accepted by a vote of 16 to 11, with 4 abstentions, and integrated into the 1901 Cuban Constitution, which Esau was putting that pressure, man. Either this or it ain't finna be independent at all, probably. The Platt Amendment outlined the role of the U.S. and Cuba in the Caribbean, limiting Cuba's right to make treaties with other nations and restricting Cuba in the conduct of foreign policy and commercial relations. It also established that Cuba's boundaries would not include the Isle of Pines, the Isle of Pines, or Isle of Pines, sorry, Isle of Pines, Isla de la Juventud, until its title could be established in a future treaty, and that Cuba must sell leased lands to the U.S. necessary for coaling or the development of naval stations. That's why you have Gitmo. It read a preamble for the recognition of the independence of the people of Cuba, demanding that the government of Spain relinquishes authority and government in the island of Cuba, and withdraw its land and naval forces from Cuba and Cuban waters, and directing the President of the U.S. to use the land and naval forces of the U.S. to carry these resolutions into effect. The President is hereby authorized to lead the government and control of the people of the island of Cuba to its people, as soon as the government shall have been established in said island on their constitution, which either as a part thereof or as an ordinance appended thereto shall define the future relations of the U.S. with Cuba. Verse Slovakia, part 1. No, bullet point I, which one? Roman numerals. This is Rome all over again. More proof. Why they use them so much. That the government of Cuba shall never enter into any treaty or other compact with any foreign power or powers which will impair or tend to impair the independence of Cuba, nor in any manner authorize or permit any foreign power or powers to obtain by colonization over military and naval purposes or otherwise, lodgment or in control of any portion of said island, except for them, of course. 2. That said government shall not assume or contract any public debt to pay the interest upon which, and to make reasonable sinking fund provision for the ultimate discharge of which the ordinary revenues of the island after defraying the current expenses of government shall be inadequate. that the government of Cuba is convinced that the U.S. may exercise a right to intervene. Of course, they say, quote unquote, for the preservation of Cuban independence. Devils. Oh, it's for your own good. My, whatever Esau, whatever Esau, for our own good, my ass. It should have been a response, but it wasn't because it was being forced. The main, really, it was the maintenance of a government advocate for the protection of life, a gumbo diplomacy, man, property and individual liberty, and for discharging the obligations of respect to Cuba imposed on by the Treaty of Paris on the United States, not to be assumed an undertaking by the government of Cuba. IV, which is for that all acts of the U.S. and Cuba during its military occupancy thereof are ratified and validated, and all lawful rights acquired thereunto shall be maintained and protected. V. That the government of Cuba will execute and as far as necessarily extend the plans already devised or other plans to be mutually agreed upon for the sanitation of the cities of the islands, to end that a recurrence of epidemic infection diseases may be prevented, because it was going to heal plagues. Thereby assuring that's curses too, assuring protection to the people and commerce of Cuba as well, to the commerce of the southern ports of the U.S. and the people residing therein. VI that the Isle of Pines shall be omitted from the proposed constitutional boundaries of Cuba. The title there to be left to future adjustment by treaty. VII, which is that's VI6. Okay, V5, right? VI7. That to enable the U.S. to maintain the independence of Cuba and to protect the people thereof, as well as for its own defense, the government of Cuba will sell or lease the U.S. lands necessary for coaling or naval stations at certain specific points to be agreed upon with the President of the United States. VII 8. That by way of further assurance, the government of Cuba will embody the foregoing provisions in a permanent treaty with the U.S. After American President Theodore Roosevelt withdrew American troops from the island in 1902, Cuba signed a treaty next year after which Cuba executed a lease of land to the U.S. for coaling a naval station at Gitmo, Guantanamo Bay. Originally, the U.S. would have been able to build 4 military bases, but Cuba managed to negotiate this down to 2. Those being Gitmo and Bahia Honda, which was traded in 1902 for more land at Gitmo. This was a surprise given that Secretary Root had indicated his wish for the U.S. to become an owner and enforcer. But Cuba's waterfront while the Platt Amendment was being drafted. In the aftermath following acceptance of the amendment, the United States ratified a tariff that gave Cuban sugar preference in the U.S. market. Oh, okay. Also, that protection to select U.S. products and buttering them up in the Cuban market. The huge American investment into sugar led into land being concentrated into the hands of the largest sugar mills, however. Of course, Slovakia did not speak in that water. Or fucking do that. Fuck. Man. Fuck, bro. That's disgusting. Yeah, awesome. I swear to you, that shit nasty. This led to further impoverishment. Like I was talking about how the sugar, you should probably, how the sugar, the American investment into sugar, well, I'm trying to say, led to land being concentrated into the hands of the largest sugar mills. Of course, Esau was snatching up the land. However, estimates that 20% of all Cuban land was owned by these mills. This led to further impoverishment. That's actually a lot of land of the rural masses, because it's a lot of so-called Cubans, Child Manasseh, man, and we're fruitful people. It's just a lot. It's a lot. They was crowded in the rest of the lands, man. Probably would not much, not much to you're getting blocked as well. Every one of these comments, of these spamming comments, is getting blocked, and I'm gonna advise Akim if I'm on their live to block them, to block y'all. Run that up with your supervisor, whoever is managing these bots. This is my message to y'all. Your ass is getting blocked every time you spam our lives. I want to make sure that Yahweh Razazah, Yahweh Razazah, the best way I can. Because y'all motherfuckers are annoying, man, and disruptive and blocking you. Yeah, that's annoying. That led to further impoverishment. Joseph didn't say it's prophecy in Genesis 49. Joseph shall be a fruitful bow. So Yahweh Sab, which is that in the Hebrew, the ancient Paleo Hebrew, about Yahweh Sab, man, shall be a fruitful bow. Yeah, Yahweh Sab. Yahweh Sab, verse 22, Genesis 49:22. Yahweh Sab is a fruitful bow, even a fruitful bow by a well, whose branches run over the wall. Yep, even verse 23 applies here. The archers have sorely grieved him and shot at him and hated him. Verse 24, but his bow abode in strength, and arms of his hands were made strong by the hand of the mighty power of Jacob. From thence is the shepherd, the stone of Israel. Well, basically, Joseph is the fruitful bow. That's what it says. Blessings of the breast and of the womb, even in verse 25. Man. Blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep that lieth under, blessed, even the power of the Father. They basically gave us all gave Manasseh and Aparium and Manasseh, which is the Hebrew, the original way of saying Ephraim and Manasseh. Blessings of the breast and of the womb as well, man. So, fruitfulness. Fruitful bowl, man. So, being crowded in that land, man, that became like a curse unto us, man. Unto Yahweh Sop and Jaden. Work, but especially, Yahweh Sop is known for being fruitful. The tribes that came out of Joseph, Ephraim and Manasseh. Workers on the mill were in constant fear of eviction, with cheap imported labor from other parts of the Caribbean keeping wages very low. And the prices for independent cane pushed down to a minimum. In addition, the mills monopolized, so they was being paid peanuts, man, basically. In addition, the mills monopolized the railroads and ran them for private benefit. They was being paid peanuts and busting their ass, man. Because of that, man. The lack of consumer purchasing power and the limited market available for manufactured goods meant that little industrialization would occur in the decades after the 1903 Treaty of Relations. Overall, over $200 million was spent by American companies on Cuban sugar between 1903 and 1913. Tomas Estrada Palma, who had once favored outright annexation of Cuba by the U.S., became president of Cuba. On May 20, 1902, he was reelected in 1905 despite accusations of fraud. from his liberal opponents, but was forced to resign, along with the rest of the executive when the opposition against his rule turned violent. The U.S. invoked the Platt Amendment to begin the second occupation of Cuba and install provisional government. Devils, man. Yeah, because now Babylon got the now Babylon slash Assyria slash Rome, all that. God, now they had their hands on Cuba, man, and they wasn't gonna let go. They don't understand why there was resentment from the average so-called Cuban, tribe of Manasseh, tribe of Manasseh in the Hebrew, that the Soviets, Russian-speaking Edomites used, and that led to them forgetting their oppression, namely by the Babylonian Edomites. Hold on, no. Let me back Yahweh Tazah. Hold on. Shalom if I'm not, but I'm gonna be back, Yahweh Tazah. All right. Hold on. Yeah, Yahweh Tazah, be back. Hold on. Shalom, shalom, I'm back. Alright, just had to take care of some bullshit. They're so fucking annoying. But, hold on. Let me get back to it. I'm gonna go back to where I was. Alright, so, where was I at? I was going into the Judaism. Judahites. Oh yeah, no. I was going into how these devils came back in. Second occupation of Cuba. Came in like a flood again and installed a provisional government. Political instability and frequent American occupation through the early 1900s meant that legitimate constitutional rule was increasingly difficult to come about. Though Cuban citizens enjoyed an improved standard of living at this period, Article 40 of the 1901 Cuban Constitution and Article 3 of the Platt Amendment meant that constitutional rights could be suspended under emergency provisions. Devils, man. So they could be put under martial law. Therefore, the Platt Amendment contributed to an erosion of the original or individual rights of the Cuban people. It was not long before the Cuban public was calling for an amendment to the 1901 Constitution. Yeah, like Esau did them dirty. The Platt Amendment was a major blow to hopes for social advancements for so-called Afro-Cubans. Mainly Judah, but you had it was mainly Judah, man. But you have Northern Kingdom that looks Judah as well. But yeah, Khan, man, they was getting it the worst. You already know it. Who hoped that their participation in the Spanish-American War would mean equality. Jake is always doing that shit, man. With the so-called white planners and commercial elites of Cuba. Oh shit, doing the same shit that they did in motherfucking Babylon. Nearly 40%. Same shit that you so-called Cubans be like doing. Supporting Babylon like that. One Maccabee. Wait, hold up. There is a precept for when in those days went wicked men out of Israel. None new under the sun. Went wicked men out of Israel. Bunch of house niggas. Sellouts. 1 Maccabees 1:11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we've had much sorrow. Verse 12, so this device pleased them well. Motherfucking sellouts. And look what it got them. Look what it got Jake, man, for selling out. Didn't get him shit. Look at it. Doing the same shit. Nearly 40% of the Cuban fighting force against Spain was made up of people of color, Jakes. And so-called Afro-Cubans have spent generations, Judah mainly, has spent, or other southern kingdom, has spent generations fighting for their country's independence, as well as becoming disenfranchised through voting acts. So-called Afro-Cubans were also blocked, Slocky, for many state institutions as they now required educational or property qualifications to be gained. Tensions between Afro-Cubans, so-called, and U.S. military officials were rife, with hostile languages, sometimes gunfire, being exchanged between the two groups. Frustrated middle-class so-called blacks will launch the Independent Party of Color (PIC), Partido Independiente de Color, in 1908, but this was barred by the Cuban Congress, soon along with all the other parties of color accused of inciting race war. Which, you had Jakes in that, basically in that zealous state of mind as well. The PIC, PIC shit, we're gonna say that. PIC's call for limited armed protests would eventually spark the Negro Rebellion of 1912, which killed between 3,000 and 6,000 and led to the PIC dissolving afterward. Yeah, he had uprising of Jake, man, in Cuba. Many so-called African Americans also joined so-called African Cubans in solidarity. She had Judah come down here from Babylon, hoping that fighting for America would lead to more opportunities back home, but they were left disappointed. Oh yeah. That's talking about the Rough Riders, which they also, a lot of them would be Buffalo Soldiers, man. Later on, but did that pay off? No. Fighting for Esau did not pay off. Women activists were also disappointed by the result of the Platt Amendment's conditions. So, they're going to throw them in there as well. But in Babylon, you had they're going to throw them in there. Even though females get way more benefits than men now, but Jake is still oppressed. And so basically, because back then people wasn't really fucking with that. Most of the Platt Amendment provisions were repealed in 1934 when the Cuban-American Treaty of Relations of 1934 between the U.S. and Cuba was negotiated as part of U.S. President FDR's, Franklin Roosevelt's, good neighbor policy towards Latin America. Jose Manuel Cortina and other members of the Cuban Constitutional Convention of 1940 eliminated the Platt Amendment from the new Cuban Constitution. The long-term lease of Guantanamo Bay Naval Base continues. The Cuban government since 1959 has strongly denounced the treaty as a violation of Article 52 of the 1969 action, being the Convention on the Law of Treaties, which declares the treaty void if procured by threat or use of force. Yeah, which it was. However, Article 4 of the Vienna Convention stated that its provisions shall not be applied retroactively. Historian Louis A. Perez has argued that the Platt Amendment resulted in the conditions they had hoped to avoid, including Cuban volatility. Well, there was backlash, but what happened? Forgetfulness of oppression. And the embargo too, man. The embargo, the Cuban embargo, man. That was another way of oppression. Manasseh, Which, by the way, IUIC, that's not the MOTB. So stop. That the MOTB is the RFID chip, straight up. Can buy or sell without it, implant it in your hand, you know, or in your head. It's more obvious now that it's the RFID chip. Get your thick skulls, but only the elect will. But yeah, brothers have gone into it. But yeah, this embargo right here, man, it's basically held it's held them back a lot, man. Cuba says that the U.S. embargo, like cars of like 1950s style, man, 1950s models, man. Cuba says the U.S. embargo is genocidal. What, quote unquote, what does it really do? Over the years, the U.S. has added more laws, and it is because where did they keep that embargo on China? No. What does it really do? Over the years, the U.S. has added more laws on the embargo, making it harsher, while also creating more exceptions. It's now a complex set of laws with many layers. Following historic protests in Cuba where thousands took to the street, Cuban officials have repeatedly blamed the decade U.S. embargo. Oh, yeah, in August 22, you had them protests. Cuban officials have repeatedly blamed the six-decade U.S. embargo for Cuba's food, fuel, and medicine shortages. Amid the coronavirus pandemic, Slovakia, Crown Royal, 1984 edition pandemic, epidemic, epidemic. Cuba health officials insist that the embargo limits the import of crucial components of the they're on that shit of the forbidden fruit juice. The communist country has produced its own forbidden fruit juice. That's even them, man. Like they're all in cahoots, bro. As well as opponents for medical equipment such as respirators. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel has said the embargo is genocidal and calls it U.S. politics of economic asphyxiation, which it is. But they're talking about the forbidden fruit juice, man. Although the U.S. can export food, medicine, and medical supplies to Cuba, the embargo makes it more difficult because the Russians is on board with the juice as well. So it's like it's an agenda of the Rothschilds. The elites, man, which control both sides when it comes to East versus West divide as well. That's like something that they created as well. Because they set up the Soviet Union, which Putin he worked for, the FSB, the Soviet Union. They set up Putin in a way, and they also created this conditions for Putin to come to power. I wouldn't be surprised if they helped that dude. And now, just to set it up, the conditions for the Third World War, man. They set up to the West versus East, the East versus West. Is also like a construct, man. It's also a paradigm, man. It's a false paradigm that was set up by Esau as well, man. It leads to Esau. Ultimately, most of these countries were holding to the Bank of International Settlements. So it's all, it's set up, but it's layers of control, man. And some are under more layers. Although the U.S. can export food, medicine, and medical supplies to Cuba, the embargo makes it more difficult. The United Nations and human rights groups have called for an end to an embargo. The U.S. is a constant topic of debate when it comes to U.S.-Cuba policy. When the embargo was fully implemented in 1962 by President John F. Kennedy, there was no trade. It was initially a response to Fidel Castro's confiscation of American businesses and properties in the island following the 1959 revolution, which was the largest expropriation of U.S. assets ever. There are 5,913 unresolved certified claims, totaling 1.9 billion at the time made by American citizens. Over the years, U.S. has added more laws on the embargo, making it harsher, also creating more exceptions. It's now a complex set of laws with many layers. "Quote unquote," the embargo has more holes than Swiss cheese, but at the same time, it has it's still fucking them up. So Pedro Freire chair. He didn't say the other part. I added that in. So because they're trying to make it look like it's not like affecting them that much, but at the same time, basically, it's a bunch of confusion. Chair of Ackerman's International Practice, which provides legal counsel to U.S.-based companies affected by the embargo. While food from the U.S. is available for export to Cuba, those who want to sell it to the island require authorizations or licenses from the Treasury and Commerce Departments, which makes it more cumbersome. I have to wrap it up soon. Sending medicine and medical supplies from the U.S. to Cuba is trickier because they cannot be exported if there is a reasonable likelihood the product could be used for torture, re-export, or the production of Cuba's biotechnological industry. Must be better verified on site that the products are being used for their intended purposes. The State Department says regularly authorizes the export of agriculture products, medicine, and medical equipment, as well as humanitarian goods to Cuba. In the first 6 months, authorizes that. It's like this, man. It's like, bruh. It's like when you're in lockup, man. The corrections department, whoever's in charge, or the BCSO, Barrow County or whatever county you're in, sheriff's office is basically Esau, right? They authorize, what you can get in there, right? It's basically Cuba's they're like in lockup, basically. When you look at it, as well as humanitarian goods to Cuba. In the first 6 months of 2021, Cuba imported $123 million worth of chicken from the U.S. It's like whatever they're allowed to get, man. The majority of the experts are in the agriculture sector and include chicken, soybeans, and corn. No wonder it's like run like a prison island, man. In 2007, the U.S. was among Cuba's top 5 trading partners, and in 2008, U.S. exports of agriculture products to Cuba peaked at $684 million. That number has gone down since then as Cuba has diversified its supplier network, according to some experts. The embargo does not prevent other countries from trading with China, but if a product contains fucking Esau, man, something just occurred to me. So Cuba, tribe of Manasseh, it's basically, majority of them, right? Basically, they're like on a prison island. It's turned into that, and where the embargo restricts what they can get, and it's basically like this. You have a attorney that is appointed by the state, right? And that's like the Russians and shit, bro. They're imprisoned by the elites of Esau. Because Manasseh prison is a war too, man. He's a war against all of us, man. It's like this, man. Fucking Esau, man. The Russians, they're like the state appointed, to look at it this way, all the way down to their government even. It's the state appointed, I'm pretty sure when the Soviets backed them up, they had some behind closed door talks and shit. But and they had the right first people become, be the leaders of it anyways, You know what he saw, man. He's a motherfucker. But man, fucking Esau. Basically, they have really, they have Cuba is like a prison island. They're like, but it's like a special type of prison, like solitary confinement, right? And then Manasseh has you have the attorney, the ones that's backing them up, and then but it's like a state appointed attorney. You gotta look at it this way. Esau basically set it up so, okay, the Russians would be their state appointed attorney, man. Like their state, like their I would say elite appointed attorney, man. Just because, I'm trying to, it's an analogy that I'm making, like, come on. They're Edomite appointed attorney, Edomite appointed representative. The Edomites that's supposed to back up Russia, basically. I mean, it's like a backup Cuba and shit, man. We're on your side type shit. But really, it's controlled opposition, as they have been shown to be controlled opposition too. No bullshit. Basically, controlled opposition. Cuba is like that's how Cuba is set up, man. And then we have the U.S., which is the prosecution, representing the prosecution in Cuba, like they're in solitary confinement because, they, for bad behavior, man. Because Cubans rebelled. Rebelling. Oh! They got them in some sort of solitary confinement type deal. Which is basically what an embargo is. In a larger sense, it's solitary confinement. Yeah, man. So, like, basically, they're a solitary confinement type deal, and it's like a whole tribe in solitary confinement. Well, so you have the leaders, right? So basically, you have like an attorney team. You have a defense team appointed by who? To look at it. Hold on. Appointed by the elites of Esau. I'm gonna keep deleting you motherfuckers. I'm blocking you. Appointed by the elites of Esau. It's like they set them up over them, man. Like, yeah, you have an embargo, but we're gonna help you right here. Like this, okay. Yeah, in solitary confinement, but we're gonna try to get you out. And we're gonna make sure they don't do too much, right? We're gonna make sure they don't do too much. But really, like they still be doing too much. Really, they still be doing too much. Yeah, them. Hmm. Okay, so you have them. You have these motherfucking. You have them, right? And you have fuck. Got them, and you got like basically the whole team, right? So-called the people are supposed to have in the best interest of the so-called Cubans, right? Start Manasseh. Check it. You have that's in solitary confinement by the elites. You have the defense team, right? The Cuban government was supposed to have their back. You have when you look at it, the big picture is how it's set up. You have the Chinese, the Russians, the UN, which is like, yeah, all them, which UN is funded by Esau, Babylon to be specific. Controlled opposition. The UN will sometimes function as controlled opposition, to basically throw you off from the fact that they're funded by Esau. Then you have them, and you have them, the so-called Chinese now more. Then you have shit. That's what you have, and then that's what you have. And oh yeah, the prosecution team, the U.S., the 1948ers, the opposition, the U.S., the 1948ers, the opposition, the Organization of American States, all that, controlled by the U.S. And sometimes the UN. That's what you have. And it's like this, okay? At first, the population was like on board, like a lot of majority was on board with Fidel Castro and shit. Like, yeah, look what the U.S. been doing and shit. But then they was like, nah, wait, if we just cross over, like this shit is fucked. You know what I'm saying? This shit is fucked. Trying to like, because they thought they was, in their setup, I got them thinking that they basically are independent and shit. Basically, this thing is too hard. I'll just go back. You know how Jake is, man. Their mindset. I'll just go to Babylon and shit, man. What about this? They mainly coming Babylon for economic reasons. I just go I just go to Babylon and shit. Most of them for economic reasons. And so you started having the Cuban refugee crisis. As more penalties was being put, right? You start having that. And then when you look at it, you had so basically the ones that come over here, they forget the oppression. Well, they had already forgotten the oppression by the U.S. Basically, and then they came over here thinking that we're just gonna join them. Just join them. Basically made a covenant with the king. Same shit. Yeah, and that's in Jake's spirit, man. It's in the same spirit is gonna be on these Jakes that take the mark of the beast, by the way. The RFID chip. Yeah, on Maccabees 1 and 11. And then the northern kingdom, that's Jake too, man. In those days went out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So there you go, man. But they came over here and they just basically it's better just to join them. It's better just to join them, man. You can't beat them, join type shit, right? And then it was also blaming the Castro regime. America's not so bad. It was like that. But yeah, and so they're the ones that forgot about their oppression, and you have more of them that's over there. They want to come over here. They want to overthrow that government for the U.S. and shit. Let's just overthrow these people for Babylon. But hey, so-called Cubans here in Babylon, you're being reminded of your oppression, man. You're being reminded because you forgot. You're being reminded that you still a nigga here in Babylon. But yeah, hey, we're gonna see how it play out. But if this so-called Cuban, like they charge, that sentence sticks, and they lock them away anyways. Man, that's gonna be like, it's gonna be like you Jake's got your heart broke out here, by the great whore herself, Babylon the Great. But yeah, wrap it up right there. I hope this live was edifying to the elect. I want to give all praise to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to the Archim out there spreading this truth like wildfire in all truth and in all sincerity. And shalom to the rest of the elect out there. Shalom, stay strong. You know, you devils are going down. You know, you devils are going down. You heathens going down. Never gonna rule again. You know, you 2/3 gonna die a horrible death here in Babylon, man. Including 2/3 of you so-called Cubans, tribe of Manasseh. You know, even y'all do wake up to your oppression, you're not gonna wake up to the full truth. You know, but 1/3, the elect among y'all is. Shalom, shalom, stay strong. Abababal, abad la adawamium, abad la galarium, naba abad la 2/3. It's like it. Shalom, stay strong. Shalom, stay strong. Esau, you're through. Abababal and Yashrala forever. Actually, I'm gonna say it like this. Esau, you through. Yashrala forever and Abababal. Shalom. Actually, like this. Esau, you through. Yashrala forever and Abababal. Shalom.